They tried to erase us.
You think this is a job offer. It is an inventory line. This is the day your body was filed into the imperial inventory between the copper and the silk. You will not have a salary. You will be one. Welcome to the Han Court, Sung Nam favorite. The chapter that catalogued men like you was called Ningxing Lijuan, 125 of the Shiji, written before England existed as a kingdom. There are top comments on the softer version of this story. 5,800 likes, 4,100 likes that already said it. They were sold. Tonight we treat the receipt as the receipt. So, how many were there? Brett Hinch, writing in 1990, gave the most cited number. 10 of the first 10 emperors of Western Han had a recorded male favorite. 10 out of 10. When King Kang, in 2009, said, "Not so fast. The count depends on what you let count." Both readings work from the same two chapters. Ningxing Li Zuan, 125 of the Shiji, and Hanshu Wan, 93, written by the Ban family, around 90 of the Common Era. The disagreement is the point. Nink, Sing, Ningxing. The first one, Nink, means glib, fawning, someone who wins favor by saying what the powerful want to hear. The second one, Sing, means lucky, but the kind of luck the court hands you, not the kind you earn. That is not the Han word for boyfriend. That is the Han word for someone the court decided to keep close, and the court decided to write down. 10 out of 10 is not a love story, it is an inventory line, and the system had a doorway. 2,000 years ago somebody had to walk through it first. His name was Deng Tong. Around 180 BCE, the Emperor Wen of Han had a dream. That is how the Shiji tells it. Wan 125. Hanshu, Wan, 93, keeps the same scene. He dreamed he was trying to climb up to heaven, and he could not get there. A boatman in a yellow cap pushed him from behind. He made it. He woke up. He went looking for the boatman. This is the part the softer version skips. He did not post a job. He sent the court out searching. They found a boatman whose cap matched. His name was Deng Tong. Deng Tong was brought to the palace. Deng Tong did not apply. Deng Tong was a search result. And then the emperor gave him a mountain, Yandao, a copper mountain in what is now Sichuan, and with it, the right to mint coin. Pershiji Wan 125 and Hanshu Wan 93, cross-checked by Ulrich Theobald. Deng Tong was given private minting privileges. In an empire whose currency was metal, that is not a tip. That is monetary sovereignty being handed out as a gift. The phrase that survived in Chinese for centuries, Deng Shixian, Deng Shi Qian, Deng family money, became shorthand for impossible wealth. The court fed the inventory line very, very well. But notice the grammar. The emperor gives. The favorite receives. This is not a gesture between equals. A gesture between someone who can order an execution and someone who cannot say no is not tenderness. It is administered access. Hold this image. The mountain, and the man. Because when Emperor Wen died, the next emperor, his own son, Emperor Jing, did not inherit just the throne. He inherited a body in the inventory. If Deng Tong was the doorway, Dong Xian was the most expensive line item the Han archive ever wrote down. Per Hanshu Wan 93, the chapter on favorites, Emperor Ai gave Dong Xian a stipend of 10,000 pekels of grain per year. 10,000 pekels. In Han measure, roughly 600 metric tons of grain, about 1.3 million pounds. That is the salary band of the empire's highest ministers. It was not given for a job. There is no job description in the chapter. It wasn't salary. It was state of availability. This is where the idiom comes from. Twent so. Duangsu. Cut sleeve. Hanshu Wan 93 records the story. Dong Xian fell asleep on Emperor Ai's sleeve. The emperor had to leave. Rather than wake him, the emperor cut his own sleeve off. For 1,000 years the sinosphere has repeated this image as proof of tenderness. Hold the grammar of it. Who could cut sleeves? Who could lie still? That's the story underneath the idiom. Ban Gu, writing in Wan 11, added a gloss about Emperor Ai by nature did not care for women. Note the source. That is Ban Gu's reading, around 90 of the Common Era, 200 years after the fact. Imperial historian. Same family that compiled Wan 93. Hold it as commentary. Not as confession. Then Emperor Ai tried to bequeath the empire to him. Bequeath. The whole empire. Note who has the power to bequeath. Note who gets bequeathed. A man who can be willed to someone like a copper mountain, like a granary, like an empire is not a partner. He is an asset moving up the inventory line. And Hanshu Wan 93 names. One more thing about Dong Xian I am going to leave on the table for now. He had a wife. Hanshu names him. Hanshu names the day he died. Hanshu does not name her. We will come back to her. So what kills these bodies? The softer version says, Fate. The fortune teller in the competitor's video says it at 15 minutes 22. Fate caught up with him. No, not fate. Inventory. The Han court ran on a Confucian ideology of succession. The emperor's first job was to produce an heir. No heir was a public crisis. Cosmic disorder. Heaven misaligned. And when an emperor's reign was barren, or short, or scandalous, the new court needed a body to blame. Not the system, not the ritual order, the favorite. Go back to Deng Tong. Emperor Wen dies. Emperor Jing Wen's own son takes the throne. Within a year, the man who once held the Copper Mountain is stripped of every privilege. He dies penniless. Per Shiji Huan, 125. Per Hanshu Huan, 93. That is not the fortune teller was right. That is succession ideology, doing its job. The new throne needs visible loyalty. The dead emperor's favorite is the cheapest available offering. The mountain comes back to the state. The body comes off the books. And one more thing about this cog. The man who wrote down this chapter, Sima Qian, had been castrated by this same court in 99 BCE. For defending a general the emperor wanted to scapegoat. Stephen Durant, in The Cloudy Mirror, 1995, Sunni, reads Sima Qian's account of the favorites as quiet sympathy. Burton Watson, translating the Shiji in 1958, here's the same prose as criticism. Hold that contradiction. We are going to need it. Emperor Ai dies. Suddenly, 25 years old. No heir. Open succession. Imperial seal in play. The Hanshu records the date. Jiwei Day, 6th month. Yuanshou Era 2. Cross-translated into our calendar by Ziji Tongjian Wan, 35, and the modernkex.org, http://kex.org, corpus, that lands on the 16th of August, 1 BCE. And Dongxian, the man Emperor Ai once tried to bequeath the empire to, was holding the seal during the deathbed transition. Enter Wang Mang. Wang Mang was the rising rival, cousin of the Empress Dowager, head of the maternal Wang clan that had been circling power for 2 generations. Per Hanshu 199, Wang Mang's first move at the deathbed was not grief. It was a demand. Give up the seal. Dongxian surrendered it. Within less than 24 hours of that surrender, per Hanshu Zhuan 93, that day, Dongxian and his wife took poison. Hanshu 199 carries the same beat from the Wang Mang side. The bodies were not buried with rites. They were disinterred. They were stripped. They were reburied in prisoner's ground. The inventory does not get a funeral. This was not Romeo and Juliet. This was a faction taking back assets within the same news cycle. And before we turn the next cog, hold one detail. Hanshu names Dongxian. Hanshu names the day. Hanshu does not name the wife. She took the same poison. She is buried in the same disturbed ground. The chapter has the calendar, but not her. We are coming back to her. That is a promise. The third cog runs slower than the first 2. It is older. It is the one the Han court had been turning for a century before any favorite walked through Emperor Wen's dream. The criticism wasn't imported, it was domestic. Han Confucianism ran on a specific theory of merit. Office should follow virtue. Virtue should be cultivated through ritual study. A favorite who climbs by proximity instead of by examination is in that vocabulary a small man. Shi Orain, Sao Ren. The court had a whole technical word for it. The chapter Ningxing Liazuan is literally arranged as a catalog of small men. And here is the part the softer version cannot say, because it does not look up who wrote the source. The man holding the brush, Sima Qian, was castrated by this same Han court in 99 BCE. For defending a general the emperor wanted to scapegoat. He finished the Shiji around 91 BCE. From inside a body the court had already marked. Stephen Durant, in The Cloudy Mirror, 1995. Sunni Press reads the Ningxing chapter as quiet sympathy. A marked author refusing to spit on bodies the court could also discard. Burton Watson, translating the Shiji for English readers in 1958, here's the same prose as criticism. A historian doing his Confucian duty. Both are right. The archive is partial. The brush was held by a body the court marked, and that brush wrote ambivalence into the chapter on purpose. Which brings us to a sentence somebody in your family is going to need this year at dinner. When anyone tells you queer is a Western import, the criticism of these bodies was Han-made. The chapter that cataloged them was Han-made. The disagreement about how to read them was Han-made. The marked brush archive that left ambivalence in the record on purpose was Han-made. The import is the silence. Not the bodies. Hold this. The criminalization arc has a date. We are about to read it. The fourth cog turns the slowest. It does not run inside one reign. It runs across 1800 years. And the only way to see it is to put a date on every node. Node 1. From the founding of the Han in 202 BCE through the early Tang around the 7th century, roughly 900 years, there is no queer-specific statute in the dynastic codes I could verify. The legal apparatus targets disloyalty, faction, lèse majesté, not desire, 900 years, no statute, Node 2, Song Dynasty, 9th to 13th century. Neo-Confucian revival under Zhu Xi tightens the discourse on body and conduct, and here I have to do something the softer version will not. There is a claim that circulates in popular history that a 6th century Buddhist text was foundational to this shift. The mechanism is documented. The specific text identity I could not confirm with confidence in extant English language scholarship I had access to. I am telling you that on purpose. We show the gap. That is how this channel works. Node 3. In the Zheng He reign around 1111 of the Common Era, a decree appears in later song compilations, imposing 100 strokes for male prostitution. Enforcement is debated. The decree is the first hard date point where state law touches the body. Node 4, and this is the one I want you to take with you. 1550. Jiajing reign. Ming Dynasty. Per Matthew Sommer, Stanford University Press, 2000, the Ming Code introduces a sodomy statute. The Qing expand it after 1644. The Yuan-Mongol Code, separately, had already pulled in influence from earlier Inner Asian legal traditions. 1800 years between the Han court that recorded favorites and the Ming Code that criminalized desire. Hanshu Wan 93 was written before England existed as a kingdom. The line isn't Asian tradition. The line is a process. Processes have dates. Dates can be argued with. 4 cogs. Succession, faction, Confucian backlash, criminalization arc. That is the machine, not fate, not fortune teller, machine. Li Yannian, castrated, promoted, executed. We read again. The Hanshu and the Shiji both keep him. Castration sentence for an offense the chapter does not fully spell out. Sent to the Directorate of Palace Kennels. Eventually placed at the head of the Music Bureau the Lufa, the institution that collected popular song under Emperor Wu of Han. His sister became Lady Li, the emperor's favored consort. After her death, around 90 BCE, Li Yannian was executed too. And here we have to be careful with our own language. The Han archive used Huan and Yen for castrated palace servant. It did not use words for what we today call trans-mask or non-binary. Those words are ours. The body is his. We are reading him with our framework. We are saying so on screen. Howard Chang, in After Eunuchs, Columbia University Press, 2018, gives us the framework. The castrated body was a category the Han language could not fully describe on its own terms. We are not back-projecting an identity. We are noticing what the archive could not hold. Li Yannian had talent. Talent didn't save him. Talent made him valuable, as inventory. When the inventory item he was attached to died, he came off the books. The chapter has a title, Ningxing Li Zhuan, the biographies of the favored. We have read 4 men out of it tonight. 3 names the chapter didn't keep. First, the wife. Go back to that day, 16th of August, 1, BCE. Hanshu Huan 99. The sentence is plain. Yern Yutzi J. Zisat. Dong Xian and his wife both took their own lives. Same poison, same hour. Per the same chapter, same disinterment. Per the same court, same prisoner's ground. Hanshu names Dong Xian. Hanshu names the day. Hanshu does not name her. She is erased once by the archive that kept the calendar instead of her name. She is erased twice every time we retell this as a love story between 2 men. That is a Pillar 2 receipt. We are not letting her go unnamed this time. We do not have her name. We have her death, her grief, her body. That is what the chapter handed us. We are holding it. Second, the women the dynastic histories never wrote a chapter for at all. Hanshu Wan 97, the Weiqi Zhuan, the biographies of imperial in-laws has a quiet line. Yan Shigu, a Tang scholar writing commentary around the 7th century, glosses it. Gunren Zis Sound Yu Wei Fufu, Mingdu Shir palace women conducting themselves, with each other, as husband and wife. The court had a name for it, Duishi. Facing each other at meals. Olivia Milburn read this line in 2016, in Nan Nu, peer-reviewed. 2. Mark Stevenson read it again, in 2024, in the Journal of Lesbian Studies. 2 T1 readings, both naming the bond, both refusing to dilute it into friendship. The softer version of this story we are answering tonight had 4 cases. 0 were these women. Tonight that count goes up. Third, the legend. There is a story that 2 men, Pan Zhang and Wang Zhongshan, loved each other so completely that when they died, they were buried together and a tree grew from the grave with 2 branches that intertwined. It is beautiful. It survives in the Taiping Guangji, compiled in 978 of the Common Era, Song Dynasty, 1,000 years after the Han. That is not contemporary history. That is what later readers wanted a queer Chinese love story to end like. It is a wish. The wish is worth keeping. The wish is not a receipt. Don't confuse them. This is the last minute and a half. We are going to use it on purpose. To the Sino-queer diaspora watching from Sydney, from Toronto, from Berlin, from Saigon, your ancestors are in 193. They had names. Tonight we read 4. The chapter is older than the borders that asked you to leave it behind. To the Asian Transmask viewer, hoping for one line that acknowledges you, Li Yanyan was a body the Han Archive could not name on its own terms. The words we use today are ours. The body was his. The lineage did not begin with you. You are not the first one. You are not even the first one in this language. To the queer Vietnamese reader, specifically Han categories shaped our records too. The chapter Sima Qian wrote in 125 traveled with the script, the bureaucracy, the family registers. Decolonizing the myth includes decolonizing our inheritance of it. That work is not a Western project. It is a Han Archive reading project. You are already qualified. And to all 3 of you, I am not thanking you for being brave. I am thanking you for refusing the softer version. Everyone in this comment section gets the receipt. Few of you get the thank you. The archive specifically erased some of you. That is why some of you specifically got named. They had no salary. They were the salary. The court named who got loved. The machine ate the favorite. We are still reading the second name.